G'day and welcome to the latest episode where we're joined today by Symal Group's Managing Director, Joe Bartolo, one of the original founders of Symal some 25 years ago. He runs us through the journey from basically what he had with a wheelbarrow and a landscaping business to what he's doing plus $1 billion in revenue today and sitting as a $700 million company. This one was one of the more enjoyable ones. A bit of storytelling from Joe we think you'll enjoy. Thanks very much. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Simon. Appreciate it.
So Symal Group listed, 21st November last year, so just coming on 12 months listing price of $1.85 or something. I think closed at about $3.10 today. So it's it looks like it's been an easy ride, but overnight success, 25 years in the making. Maybe just take us back. How did it all get started?
Yeah, far from an easy ride. It's been a fun, exciting ride. Lots of growth and opportunities. Started the business, like I said, 25 years ago, and I feel like I've told this story a few times, Simon. But I'll try and get into detail for you to give you a bit of context. But and also my past really explains where I am and why I am the way I am today. So was probably a bit of a rat bag at school in terms of the way I was, and I didn't like school. I didn't like learning the way that they were teaching. And for me, I was in there in my head constantly thinking, well, I can do much better than being at school. I'm wasting my time. I need to get in the workforce and actually deliver. And I always sort of had bold ambitions for myself and what I wanted to achieve in life. So I left school, went and worked for mum and dad, real European family.
Did you finish school?
I finished year 10.
Yeah.
So I finished year 10. I actually completed it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I finished, Dad was like, "Mate, you're working. Come to work straight away," right? Which was fantastic, and I'm very grateful for what the values my father and mother instilled in me. So went out, worked for mum and dad. They had a nursery, small sort of gardening business on the side as well. And I was in there working every day on the grind, in a wholesale and retail nursery. And, I was always one to grow the business and make it bigger. And mum and dad were like I said, uber conservative. No, leave it as it is. This is fine. And anyway, I got to the point in my life where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to leave. I kept snakes which is a funny story, but I kept snakes as a hobby. And I had a friend who was doing wildlife shows. So I went out and for a year, went and did wildlife shows with him. And so I travel around Victoria teaching or educating kids on snakes. I went from earning $300 a week to earning $1,800 a week as a contractor. I'm like, geez, there's more to life than obviously that smaller wage. So I finished up and decided to start my own business, and really had no idea at this point in time how to run a business other than what I'd learned working for my parents. So off I went, borrowed a wheelbarrow, shovel, a couple other tools off Dad, had a ute at that point, and went off and did my first job. The first job was at my brother's house, and I was doing some landscaping at the front, and a lady pulled up and she had a chat to me, and she's, "Can you come give me a quote?" I said, "Yeah, no problems." And I'm in my head trying to work out how am I going to quote a job. I really know how to quote, especially coming from that retail wholesale sort of side. So I said, "Oh, it's fine. I'll do the work for you on hourly rate." Went there, did a heap of work. Next person rocked up, asked the same question, and the business really started to grow. So landscaping became a big part of my life in the early years. But I was more doing soft landscaping opposed to hard landscaping. So the next stage was for me, I need to learn how to do brick paving, need to learn how to lay blocks and everything else. So I employed some people that had the skills. And I tell you this story because it's important to understand this is what I've always done. I've always employed people that have the skills that I can learn from and develop and grow. So anyway, I learned the trade of brick paving. I learned the trade of laying blocks. And then the next thing happened was concreting. And, the concrete market was, there was all this residential boom at this point, and every place needed to have a driveway done. So all of a sudden I employed some concreters, learnt the trade. And we're probably doing, when we started, 2 or 3 driveways a week. We ended up getting to a point where we're doing 7 driveways a day. So I had a crew out there, setting up all the jobs, and then we would actually pouring them. So we're following behind, doing the placement of the concrete and finishing. got a little bit sick of that. I thought that was a little bit too easy for me. I needed a bit more of a challenge. So I went and started doing house slabs. So then we were doing driveways, house slabs. Then I had a workplace injury, and I was actually stepping over a trench and slipped in the trench and tore my calf open. And it was pretty horrific at the time. Got rushed to hospital, and I was in a Zimmerman splint for 12 weeks. So I was one of those guys that couldn't stop working. I was working 7 days a week most weeks, and then it's come to a complete halt to me. And I sat there and I'm like, what's going to happen to the business? Like, who's going to run this while I'm not here? And strangely, I still ran the business from the phone, and I had great people who stepped up in the business and continued to run the business during that time, and nothing changed, nothing dropped off, which then really that incident is what catapulted me to the next stage of my life, where I moved into the commercial sector and really decided to be a manager of a business opposed to working on the tools and running a business. So that was really a pivotal moment in my career. So from there, we obviously started doing a lot more concrete jobs on these, whether it would be a health centre or school or whatever it is, and then slabs turned into 1 story, 2 story, 3 story, doing a lot of warehouses, doing a whole mix of different work, and then all of a sudden we actually become a contractor doing 40-story buildings in Melbourne. We don't do the 40-story buildings anymore. We still do low-rise type works, but we don't do that high structure work. It's an area that we decide to move away from. But if I go back 16 years, from sort of 2-3 years ago when we stopped the structures, I had this idea to start a civil business, and so we started the civil business to remove the interface risk between concrete and civil projects on building jobs. And it was this moment in time where I thought, well, let's have a crack again. It felt like day one to me, because I didn't really have a lot of experience in civil, but I understood earthworks because that was part of the concrete works. So we got going. That really took off. I got busier and busier. Scope expanded, more opportunities. And I had these 2 amazing businesses, a concrete structures business and a civil business, and I really couldn't keep up with both. So I was like, I need to employ more people or get some great skills within the business. I had 2 guys contracting for me, Ray Dando and Andrew Fairburn, and fell in love with them. Like, they're absolute superstars. And I never forget, I was sitting on the back deck. I was having a fag on the back deck with the guys and a beer, and just had a bit of a chat with them. And I said to Ray, how about you come and join, take a shareholding and directorship in the business, and we really push this, so we accelerate what we can do. And it was a leap of faith moment for me, and for them, I suppose. Yeah. And they said, leave it to us. We'll put together a business plan. So they bring this business plan to me, and I review the business plan. I'm like, I like these guys. They're so ambitious, right? No, I could already see the ambition. We were working together and had a great relationship. And just reviewing it, I'm like, we're going to do this. So we brought them on, and really from that point on is when we started to accelerate everything else. The business continued to grow, and we diversified, and we found more and more opportunities. We've obviously made some acquisitions. We bought Grampians Excavations, which turned to Unite. We bought the Finesford landfill facility, which turned to Cycle. We purchased Bridge and Civil in New South Wales, which gave us that local content piece to establish ourselves in the Hunter region. And we started Woomera as well, Indigenous business. So, lots of different opportunities and change from that point. Then we got to a point where, what's our next step? What are we going to continue to do? And we were ambitious. We wanted to grow well beyond where we were at that point. So we had a few internationals approaches to acquire us at that point, and it was probably something that we didn't want to do. Legacy meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to Ray and Andrew as well. And we worked bloody hard to create what we created, right? And our bodies were full of scars from the history, right?
Literally.
So listing felt like the right idea at that time. And we thought, well, we've got access to capital. We can continue to grow. We can continue to, leave a legacy behind. Hopefully legacy well into the future. So that was it. And that's why we went through that listing process. And, having that access to capital now has really meant a huge difference for us as a business and enabled us to continue to grow further and further.
Maybe we just step back a bit in terms of, you mentioned a few names there, but the businesses that stand today the names and the markets that they operate in? Maybe just give us a bit of a run through that.
So you've got, which I said, Grampians Excavations turning into Unite. So Unite now a national business, plant hire business operating up and down the East Coast. We've got trucks moving plant and equipment, up and down. There's about 680 bits of gear that Unite run. And they're doing small civil work, so like more minor sort of type civil works, but also then the plant hire is a big part of what they do. They also supply plant equipment into the Symal projects, or we always talk about run that vertically integrated approach to what we do. So that works extremely well. In addition, we've also got the Finesford landfill facility, which we turn into Cycle. So now we've got a site in Avalon where we've got state-of-the-art facility there where we're producing, we're getting C&D waste and converting that into sellable products. And we've also on the verge of creating the fuels line that we've been trying to get off the ground for some time. So that was a bit of a catapult there for us, with the landfill. And then you've got Woomera, our Indigenous business as well. And Woomera has been an amazing business. And it was quite funny when we first started. One thing that was really important to me and also to Hayden, our business partner, was that it was done not in a black cladding sort of way, and it was meaningful. It was going to really make a difference for the Indigenous people. And when we first started, it was a bit of a loss leader. It was, it gave us the ability to win projects, but we weren't profitable. Hayden and I had a bit of a heated discussion at one time, and I'm like, mate, we need to get this right. We've got to work harder. And I gave him the whole speech about crawling through the shit pipe with your mouth open, right, to achieve the results you need to achieve. You've got to work hard, and not that he wasn't working hard. It was just sometimes you need to, when you're protected by a big company, you sort of can take the easier route, right? You can hide a little bit, but he took that on board, and I tell you what, that business has just gone leaps and bounds since that conversation. Those guys are absolutely dominating, and they're doing exceptionally well. Not only are they doing well at what they do, they're also giving meaningful employment opportunities and development. It's not just a box ticking exercise. Exactly. So that business there means a lot to me. I think it's been amazing. Then you've got Bridge and Civil. And so Bridge and Civil was all about having a business that gave us that local content piece in New South Wales. And which it did that, we folded it into the Symal group. It was only a very small acquisition, but it did exactly what it needed to do. Also gave us some really good bridge building capabilities in the state of New South Wales and some new clients. But now it's all part of the Symal business.
And you talk a lot about, obviously vertical integration, but in terms of the self-perform model, drill into that, and then also just understanding how you sort of operate as a business in terms of winning contracts and subbing out internally and earning margin, margin stacking basically on top of that.
So most importantly, self-performing means everything to us. That's what makes us very unique and different from our peers. So having our boots on the ground, our own plant and equipment operators, our own safety teams, our own surveyors, our own everything, right, is what we try and do. Anything that's highly complex, we're subcontracting out into the market. So we don't, we're not perfect at every trade, but what we know well, we can self-perform. In addition to the self-performing model, we have then a vertically integrated approach where we're able to bring other businesses in that we own to perform works for us. So, for example, we may win a major defence project as the example, and you've now got Woomera providing the Indigenous spend component, and they're also doing some great civil works or landscaping works on the project. In addition, you'll have Symal contractors providing concrete and drainage works on there. And then we've got the ability to bring Sierra in to provide electrical contracting as well. Unite to bring plant hire into the mix as well. So we try and capture more and more of what we do by using our own businesses internally, and that's pretty typical with every business and every different sector as well. We're always trying to get that margin stack, so winning at the top line and trying to build up as much as we can. Down below with that vertically integrated approach.
And from a client or a customer perspective, they love that because they actually know you can get it done. It's surety of delivery. Yeah.
Ultimately, the biggest risk always lies in delivery. And if your contractor is reliant on other subcontractors to perform the works, it's just virtually passing everything down. Well, it becomes a risk. Knowing that you can actually perform the works, you're not margin stacking to the client in their minds, because you're controlling everything under one umbrella.
Yep.
It works.
And you can actually rely on it.
That's right. And so program can be delivered.
And in terms of, you talked about risk then, there was some in the market, and in terms of misunderstanding the Symal model, but they've seen other contractors blow up in the past in terms of taking on big contracts which blow out and whatnot. How does Symal differentiate itself there in terms of compared to those previous?
So number one is we're not trying to build the world's biggest, flashiest projects, right? For us, it's all about finding the best margin possible where we work. So we do play as a tier one head contractor, and we've done so on the North East Link project, for example. But generally, we're a tier two contractor and a tier one subcontractor. And what we're trying to do, obviously, is, like I said, build as much margin as we can. So find the jobs that have the most margin available to us. So more highly complex sort of projects where you can obviously, you need specialised trades or specialised company to do it, and that's somewhere where we really excel. So that's generally where our focus is. So we're not looking at for just revenue, we're always looking for that margin. The next part of it is the way we receive our revenue in our business. So we've got a lot of cost plus type works. So lower margin profile, lower risk.
So what does cost plus mean?
So essentially it's our cost that we incur, and we put a margin on top of that cost that we incur. Next to the cost plus is works that we do or price via ECI process. So going through an ECI, understand the project, progressing a design, getting to a point where we're eliminating risk in a project or pricing risk within the project. Helps us to actually win the job. So generally what happens is you'll have a client that says, here's so much of the design that we've completed to date. We need you to complete this design for us or work through a process to get to the end of the ECI. And this is a budget. So that's what the ECI sort of allows us to do. So
that's
again,
de-risk
them. The other part that we're doing is subcontracting. So again, as a subcontractor, you're not taking on the head contract risk, albeit head contractors like to pass the risk down. But we're also able to price that risk within our pricing to take that away and also say, no, we're not taking risk in certain areas. And then we've got recurring revenue that comes in with, like the acquisition of LaCarle, which was a $230 million work in hand over 6 years as a base. That's guaranteed. There's the only risk there would be with safety, ensuring that we deliver the work safely. But from a contractual point of view, extremely low risk. So that whole mixture there is what really sets us apart, and we're very different than these other contractors. The other part is that we have 5 lawyers we're working within the business that are constantly reviewing our contracts, and those lawyers aren't there to fight. Those lawyers are there to protect and ensure that we're not signing up to any risks hidden in the business. So we walk into every risk with our eyes wide open, and then we can turn around and price them in or remove them or depart them from the contract. The other part is, we do a lot of reviews within our tender process. So we have a bronze, silver, gold review. So that enables different layers or different levels of management to actually review the projects at the right times before we can continue through the process. So hold points. So that's another process that we run with a complex project or a high value project as well. And then the other part is there's just some risks that we don't take on. So I think a lot of contractors in the past have blown up from connection risk or things like liquidated damages are affected and so on. So there's plenty of stories out there. We just don't want to be in that basket, right? That's for us.
You've got enough going on.
We'd rather go broke on the beach. Simple. We're not going to do it contracting and providing services.
It sounds like you've got enough going on to take those risks. When you talk about work in hand and pipeline, what does that sort of look like? Where's the bulk of the growth or the pipeline coming from?
So I think when we come to market, we were heavily skewed towards the infrastructure space when we started. That's completely changed. So infrastructure has definitely fallen off in terms of the amount of infrastructure work that's available to us. So it's also been by our design as well. So we've wanted to move into other sectors in a larger way. So obviously DCs or your data centers are a big part of the future for any contractor at the moment working in that space. So there's plenty of data center work around. There's also the pipeline's larger than we've ever seen. So that's really exciting for us, is seeing that the opportunities continue to present themselves from data centers, AI factories and so on. The good part about data centers is they require power and we just don't have the power requirements within the grid to service all these data centers. So that means power renewable projects need to kick on. So for us, our big future is definitely data centers, power renewable projects, defence equally as well. We haven't spent money in defence for some time as a government, so this is good. There's a big pipeline of work there for us to take advantage of. Further to that is also there are still, Brisbane Olympics, very important part of the 2 acquisitions that we made last week. Will play a big part there that we'll be able to really, embed ourselves within the Brisbane Olympics and also the surrounding works that come off the back of that as well. There's a population growth that needs to be, that infrastructure isn't keeping up with. Then we've got a lot of ageing infrastructure across the nation that needs to be replenished. And even with, projects like in Victoria alone, and everyone talks about how bad Victoria is, but we haven't seen that from what we do playing in our space. The infrastructure can't stop. Population growth's too high, and ageing, and we've got issues even with the new Westgate Tunnel project that got built. Yeah, it still hasn't solved the problem, right? And there's still problems that need to be addressed. So,
they're not going away.
Yeah.
And when you talk about whether it's Brisbane 2032 or other sort of new end markets and pivoting into those, I know you've talked about them in the past, whether it's acquiring something small to get an entry point into those end markets. What are some of those sort of proof points, and do you still view the business able to be agile enough to make those moves?
Look, I think that's most important for any business, is being able to move and pivot as you need to. And I think Symal will remain that way. That's been our skill in the past. It's been why we've been so successful. We've gone through every type of downturn and boom over the 25 years, and areas have dropped off and then picked up, and there were points in time where road infrastructure dropped right off, yet they were building all these correctional facilities. All of a sudden we become the expert at building correctional facilities, and that's just been the Symal way, and that's what we do exceptionally well. So right now, those end markets for us are infrastructure, defence, power renewables, utilities, building facilities. That doesn't mean that in the future it doesn't include mining, or it doesn't include other sectors that we would want to participate in when they're at the right times. And that's that's the model. The model is we will just pivot and change as we need to as the market does.
And we talk about not necessarily revenue guidance for this year, but EBITDA guidance. I think it's 117 to 121 sort of thing. There's a couple of acquisitions in there. How should we look about the business going forward? Is it still going to grow organically with new contracts, new deals, and the rest of it? Obviously, there's a pipeline there. Or is it inorganic?
So we've been quite open and transparent to market, saying we'll double the size of what we are today in 5 years. I think that's easily achievable based on what we've done already. So if you just look, work on the numbers that we're bringing to market today, it's an achievable number for us to get to. We're definitely going to do that by way of organic growth. We can't sit still. Our business is this big beast, a big motor that just keeps turning now. So if you look at, Xero alone, it's just starting its journey, right? So that's going to bring some real revenue and margin into the business in the next 5 years. You've got Symal infrastructure. Again, feels like, we've been around for a long time, but it's just starting. It's just getting some real momentum. We've got Adelaide, big focus on what we're doing there with our own businesses. So there's opportunities in Adelaide, Brisbane, so on. So this organic growth is going to be huge. We're making these acquisitions. We're not just making them to buy revenue and margin in the business. Each one of those businesses will organically grow as well. Again, using Lacal as the example, a business there, 230 million, that was the base case. It's got so much more room for growth, and these guys are already driving extremely hard to get better results, more organic growth out of it. So the future will be more national expansion, more opportunities in the space they already play in, different and diverse clients.
And when you look at acquisitions, you're obviously going to grow organically as well. But how do you sort of, is there set criteria? Do they have to be founder-led? How does that sort of look?
I think number one is definitely we like these founder-led businesses, right?
And is that just because you're founder-led, or?
Well, I said before that my body's full of scars, right? My skill is I don't cut myself twice in the same spot. Every other founder has done exactly what I've done, exactly the same as what Ray and Andrew have done. Like, we've learnt from our mistakes over time, which really puts us in a position today where we are. These same businesses have the same attributes we do, right? That entrepreneurial spirit, that ability to have learned from their past to grow into the future. They're scalable, right? Easily scalable, because you got motivated people within the business. That same culture is important as well. So they're all the things we're looking for is, culture, scalable, founder-led, do they fit within the buckets? Like we talk about those end markets, do they fit in there? Does it make sense? Plenty of opportunities come to us all the time, and highly profitable businesses. But if they don't fit within the bucket, it's no point actually having them. So we say no to way more than what we say yes to in terms of looking at acquisitions.
I was going to say that that leads us to the next point in terms of the yes of L&D and Tim's last week. Maybe just talk to us about this sort of headline. It looked like a cheap deal or a savvy deal. It's an entry point into Queensland. What's the sort of rationale and how do you sort of look at that going forward?
Yeah, I don't think cheap. I think well priced is probably is what we'll say. But look, I think we've done exceptionally well in the past already with the acquisitions we've made, and we haven't overpaid for anything that we've acquired. Currently our stock's cheap. Our trading multiple's low. Of course, we're not going to. We're always going to try and be under our trading multiple. When it comes to L&D and Tim's, great businesses, really strong assets, plant and equipment assets, within the business, which was pretty much equal to what we paid for the business. So it made sense to us straight away. Opportunities for that business are huge as well, right? Brisbane Olympics, they'll be a player. They'll be a player in the infrastructure market or in and around the Olympics. They've got really good strategic located landfill facility that makes sense for us. So I think overall, an amazing acquisition for what we want to get done in Brisbane. And like I said, we'll continue to grow on that. There's the management team as well. That's something else I should know. Are amazing, like really good, strong leadership team, really good, strong people within the business. And I remember speaking to Ray on the phone, and he rang me up in excitement, and he's I'm like, mate, what are you going to tell me? He's like, you've got to see the people. But he goes, the people are amazing. Like they are just. He goes, it feels like Civilex. That's what we used to be before Symal. Feels like Civilex in the old days. We were back in Nevada Court and Hoppers Crossing. It's got that same feel. The people are amazing, right? And that's really what attracted us to that business. Is we knew how important that culture was that we had back then. That's how we got to where we are today. So if you can acquire these businesses that look and feel the same as what you are, the opportunity is endless.
Probably two questions, which might be a bit hard to answer. Favorite project or job you've worked on, and favorite acquisition. So it's like choosing your favorite kid.
Favorite job. Well, I won't say. I mean, look, when it comes to
projects, Moonee Valley going to be an exciting one.
Moonee Valley is good. That's a great project.
A bit of pressure.
Yeah, but there's a lot of pressure on that, right? Like every person in horse racing is watching this job, and if we stuff it up, we're in big trouble, right? It's a big reputational risk for us. Which we won't. It's a very straightforward project. We understand it well. We'll deliver on that project. We've got no problems. But I think there's a lot of eyes on us.
Yeah.
I think, and this sounds a bit weird, but I think my most favourite projects are the ones that we haven't done well on, because they're the ones that you learn from, and you sit there and you say, "I'll never make that same mistake again." So, I think that's a really important thing to have in your life. I always, like a boxer who loses his first fight never wants to lose again. And a project's the same. You have a project loses, you never want to lose again. So they're my favourites. And it sounds a bit weird, but, they're the ones that you always think about.
No, makes sense for sure.
What was the other part of your question?
Acquisition. Favourite.
Favourite acquisition. This is a little bit unfair.
Well, some of them they can still grow and change. But
I love Lacal.
Yeah.
I just think the two guys in there, Cam O'Shea, Will Carrington, just amazing people. The team overall are amazing. Now, that's not to say the other acquisitions aren't amazing. It's just that these guys are so hungry. Like they just want to continue to drive and develop and grow. And it's of course the recurring revenue part is fantastic for a business to have. So I see a really big future for those guys and girls and everyone else. But lots of opportunity. But, if you look at all of them, they all had a bit of a reason. Like Grampians Excavations made a great friend out of it. Jim Leafhead, amazing guy. He's actually next door neighbour of the farm I've got up at the Grampians that Ray and Andrew and I own together. And, he's one of my favourite humans. So great acquisition. And it's also been able to, for us to grow this national business. So that's been equally as amazing. But if we just talking the last few months, Carl's just one of those that's great.
And you're talking on people there. You've mentioned a lot about new markets, end markets. Whether it's data centers and whatnot. That's going to be sort of new skills which you don't have within the business. How do you sort of look at upskilling people or recruitment? You go on a lot about how important people are to the business. Maybe just talk to that.
So a few parts to this question here. Number one is we do have the skills. So I think you need to remember, as a large civil contractor, we are subcontracting in many different skills: electrical, drainage. Even though we have the skills internally, we still subcontract it out. And our engineers are learning constantly. And
a bit like you learnt.
Pardon me.
A bit like you learnt when
That's
you.
right.
Yeah.
So they've got the skills embedded, but there is still a learning curve that's required when you're acquiring a business that needs to go through a process, or you're doing a startup. Most important part's the people, right? So having the right people who have the skill sets to do it. The most amazing part of Symal is our bench strength, or our strength across the group is amazing, right? So, I might be at the top of it today, but knock me off, the business continues to run. There's still some amazing people who do their jobs better than what I ever could as well. So if you look at, we've got Zero, or our whole electrical part of the business, what EGM running that business and everything else that's to come in that space. Look at our major projects. We've got, some of the best grey hair that's, you could ever think of running that business. Unite or Plant Hire as a whole, we've got another EGM over that part of the business. And then, recycling, repurposing, it's exactly the same. So you've got this amazing skill set there. And then you've also got guys like Nabil, another superstar, right? Like that we're fortunate enough to have running the operation. So he's overseeing every one of these businesses, and they're reporting into him. Poor bugger, no wonder he's got no hair. But he's doing an amazing job running that. So there's plenty of layers within our business, delivering the results that we do. Because I couldn't do everything, right? It's impossible. I think my greatest skill in life has been able to bring amazing people on the journey, and I think that's all got to do with our culture and the way we do things.
And a lot of organisations, whether it's listed or unlisted, go on about culture. That we've got the best culture is everything, etc. Having been out on a couple of site visits and into the office, and even just speaking to some of the team, people genuinely love working for Symal. How do you actually achieve that?
It's all because of me, mate.
Yeah, I knew that.
No, I wish it was all because of me. Look, culture does start from the top, right?
Yeah,
that's number one. My European background has helped me bring people on a journey.
Maltese, not Italian.
Maltese background, very proud, and I've been able to attract and bring the right people along. But I've done that in a collaborative way, rewarding people for their actions or their results that they produce. But also then, if you look at our business now, we have so many different layers of culture throughout it, and every senior leader in our business is a culture ambassador, which is amazing. So yes, you may have started originally from the top, but everyone's done it exceptionally well. My wife Olivia worked in the business for 22 years. And again, she's spent so much time on learning and development and training programs and so on for the business, and being a real culture ambassador as well to the way we do things. There are so many different parts to culture as well. Like if you just come to our office, you walk in the door, the people on reception. You feel it from the minute you walk in to the minute you leave. You walk around our office, everyone's buzzing. It's exciting. We've got this unique, winning culture about us. We've also got something that's a negative, but such a positive, is that we're perfectionists, right? Like, we're never happy with the status quo. We want to get better, and we want to keep developing and grow. That's why I am. I hate normal. I would always want to be better than what I was yesterday. But that's somehow rubbed off on everybody. And, so that's right. So that everyone feels the same. And I'm lucky enough that people like Ray Ray Andrew, and we call him Cookie Andrew, and Nabil are exactly the same, right? They've got the same attitude. So your senior guys are delivering amazing results. So even eating, we won't let people eat at their desk.
Yeah, I like that.
And everyone's like, why? Why can't you eat at your desk? And you don't understand. It's not about eating at your desk. It's about sitting together at a table and collaborating. It's about, learning about each other's families and, being friends and learning and listening and connecting and all the rest of it. So they're just the little things. And then lastly, sorry to harp on about it, culture does mean everything to me. It's really important. But, every month we have inductions for our people, and they come into a room, and I get interviewed by Kellyanne, someone from our L&D team, and she'll interview me, and Olivia comes along as well, and they ask about what culture means to me and why it's so important, and about vertical integration, about our self-performing model and how the business started and where we're going, what's our future look like, and and people walk away feeling empowered from that. They sit there and go, well, I've got a real opportunity to also be on the same journey Joe was on, and Olivia's been on, and Cookie and Ray have been on. So it's all very important.
Maybe a bit too much of a personal question, but how have you gone working with your wife? I'd find that.
No, look, it's been great. Like obviously we're still married and happily married for that matter. It is hard at times when you go home and
switch off.
You can't switch off. Luckily, I don't really switch off. Like I'm one of those people that are constantly on the go. Olivia is exactly the same. But there are times where I'm just like, no, this is a conversation for tomorrow. Let's be husband and wife. Let's not talk about it.
Because it would be hard not to.
It is. And having your wife who's in the CPO role as well is very difficult, because you've got this constant, I can be a bit staunch and hard at times. She's just like, no,
you can't be hard.
And it's like, okay. So behind every great man is a greater woman telling him how to be a great man. Let me tell you, and that's been our relationship. She's been an amazing support person for me, an amazing
and helping set up the way that the culture is. Right?
Exactly. She not just a support person, but an amazing leader within the business as a whole.
That's a testament to her, a little bit to yourself as well. Skin in the game.
Yep.
We talk about that in terms of, you've got a decent chunk of the stock between, you, Cookie, and Ray.
Yeah, so we've and not just Ray, there's, Cam Healy, who's another really important part of the business as well. Like, absolutely should mention he's another superstar. Right? Like, there's just too many to mention, right? But we hold 70% of the stock. Highly motivated. Everybody's in for the long haul. We want to deliver results, and we see our stock at the moment being way too cheap for what it should be.
So not a seller.
No, we're not a seller.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. And for us, we're on a journey, and I think maybe come chat to us when our stock's at $6, and I might want to sell down a little bit, but I'm highly motivated. I'm here for the long haul, and I've got no interest in tapping
the market.
No.
And you talked about doubling the business in 5 years. Maybe if we zero in on a sort of final question, or two things. One, you talked about legacy quite a bit. What do you actually mean by that in terms of what sort of legacy do you really want to leave?
Like I said, it's been a big journey. Like, it's huge, and when you really break it down, no matter what, I'm a guy from Werribee, not to bag Werribee. Werribee's an amazing place. But left school year 10, right, and delivered what I've delivered today, like an ASX business.
Yeah,
you've got Ray, Cryo Boy, exactly the same, same journey. Andrew, Cookie, Frankston Boy, and again, right, like all drove really hard to succeed. So for us, what we've created, the name Symal, meaning together. That's what it means. We're all together. That's part of the culture piece, part of the businesses, part of what we are, all of us together. We want it to be a household name. We want it to be, and the listing was great because it keeps the business alive for forever and a day, right? So it's a very proud we're extremely proud of what we've created.
Yeah, which is
And
important.
I don't know if I've told you this, Simon, but the day that we listed, right, I never forget, it was this emotional feeling that I can't explain, right? Like, it's not the same as having children. It's not the same as being married. And I actually turned to Olivia and said, I feel like almost happier than what I did when we had children, right? And she's looking at me like she's going to kill me.
CPO.
Yeah, but it's not. Of course, I was very happy. And
It's like a crescendo of 25 years of hard work, right?
And that's what it was. And it was this emotion that
It's almost
I
like
couldn't
a
control.
relief,
And it was amazing. I still get goosebumps thinking about ringing the bell that day with the two boys and being up on stage and speaking to everyone and thanking my parents for instilling the values in me and our staff for enabling us to get there. And, you know, it was quite remarkable. It was amazing. So it does mean so much to me. It means so much to Andrew and Ray as well, what we've done and where we're going to go.
I think that's a little bit of a difference between, there's a bunch of tech companies that, list on the market. Yeah, and people do work hard, but you can generate quite quick returns and quick products at a computer as opposed to gashing your calf open and actually getting I certainly wouldn't have as many calluses if you soft swimmer hands.
No, I don't seem to have them anymore.
Just on the keyboard.
Keyboard and pen.
Last question. So we talked about double the business. So how do you actually get there? What's the sort of key? What can accelerate you faster than 5 years?
Look, I think the acquisitions that we're making is definitely going to get us there. We still have a strong pipeline ahead of us in terms of what we're looking at from an M&A point of view, but also the pipeline of work as a whole will definitely get us there too. So, I say 5 years. Let's see if we can deliver it quicker. I'm confident that we will. There's lots and lots of opportunities for us from an acquisition point of view, but also from an organic point of view. So I don't see anything getting in our way. We've got the right people. We continue to invest forward. That's one of the things that Symal always done exceptionally well, is that we're always investing in our future and making sure that we've got the right strength within the business to continue to grow. And that's what we'll continue to do.
Perfect. 2025 has been successful. Bring on 2026, and well done with everything that you've achieved. It's a real testament to you and your family.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers, Simon.